Hello, everybody. It's Mr. Harland coming to you live. Well, it's not really live, it's just a video, but I guess I could say coming to you live from the great state of Missouri. Not Missouri. Only idiots say Missouri. It's Missouri. You say it like it's spelled. Very easy. Today we're going to delve down into bank robbers. Oh yeah, bank robbers. Because last week we talked about a dirty politician and somebody else who I can't remember. Where's that campfire? See? A nice little story is good by a campfire. Even though it's summertime. I don't know why there's snow on the floor. Don't ask me why. Missouri is a strange state after all. Then again, it could be magic. I believe it's magic. But anyways, today we'll be talking about Willie Sutton, a notorious bank robber who was born in 1901 in Brooklyn, New York on June the 30th, and died in Spring Hill, Florida at the age of 79 on November the 2nd, 1980. Sutton was born into an Irish-American family on June 30th, 1901 in Brooklyn, New York, to William Francis Sutton Sr., a blacksmith, and Mary Ellen Bowles. His family lived on the corner of Gold and Nassau Streets in the neighborhood of Irishtown, Brooklyn, now called Vinegar Hill. According to his biography, where the money was, at the age of 3, the family relocated to High Street. His mother, according to the biography, born in Ireland. However, according to the 1910 U.S. Census, she was born in Maryland, and her parents were born in Ireland. By 1910, she had given birth to 5 children, of whom 3 were still alive. According to the 1910 census, his maternal grandfather, James Bowles, and his 2 maternal uncles were also living with the family. Sutton was the 4th of 5 children and did not attend school after the 8th grade. Sutton became a criminal at an early age, though throughout his professional criminal career, I don't know how it could be a profession, he did not kill anyone. He was described by mafioso Donald Franco's as a little bright-eyed guy, just 5'7", and always talking, chain-smoking cigarettes with Bull Durham tobacco. Franco stated also that Sutton dispensed mounds of legal advice to any convict willing to listen. Inmates considered Sutton a wise old head in the prison population. When incarcerated at the Tombs, Manhattan House of Detention, he did not have to worry about assault because mafia friends protected him. In conversation with Donald Francos, he would sadly reminisce about the 1920s and the 1930s, when he was most active in robbing banks, and would always tell fellow convicts that in his opinion, during the days of Al Capone and Lucky Luciano, the criminals were the bloodiest. Gangsters from the time period and many incarcerated organized crime inmates enjoyed having Sutton for companionship. He was witty and nonviolent. Francos declared that Sutton made legendary bank thieves Jesse James and John Dillinger seem like amateurs. Jesse James was no amateur. He was born here in St. Joseph, Missouri, alongside his older brother, Frank James. I can tell you they were no amateurs. But moving on. Same can be said for John Dillinger. He was no amateur. Especially since they got Johnny Depp to play him in a movie, which is okay. It's just goofy that you have Johnny Depp doing it. Anyways. Sutton was an accomplished bank robber. He usually carried a pistol or a Thompson machine gun. You can't rob a bank on charm and personality, he observed. In an interview in the Reader's Digest, published shortly before his death, Sutton was asked if the guns that he used in his robberies were loaded. He responded that he never carried a loaded gun because somebody might get hurt. He has more sense of gun safety than the people in this country nowadays. I commend him for that. He stole from the rich and kept it, though public opinion later made him into the type of gentleman thief. Like Robin Hood. He allegedly never robbed a bank when a woman screamed or a baby cried. Interesting. Sutton was captured and recommitted in June 1931, charged with assault and robbery. He failed to complete his 30-year sentence, however, escaping on December the 11th of 1932 using a smuggled gun and holding a prison guard hostage with the guard as leverage. Sutton acquired a 45-foot ladder to scale the 30-foot wall of the prison grounds. And on February 15th of 1933, Sutton attempted to rob the Corn Exchange Bank and Trust and Company in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He came in disguised as a postman, but an alert passerby foiled the crime. Sutton escaped on January 15th, 1934, and he and two companions broke into the same bank through a skylight. The FBI record observes Sutton also conducted a Broadway jewelry store robbery in broad daylight, impersonating a postal telegraph messenger. Sutton's other disguises included a police officer, messenger, and maintenance man. He usually arrived at banks or stores shortly before they opened for business. Sutton was apprehended again on February 5th, 1934, and was sentenced to serve 25 to 50 years in the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia for the machine gun robbery of the Corn Exchange Bank on April 3rd of 1945. Sutton was one of 12 convicts who escaped. This man escaped a lot. The institution through a tunnel. The convicts broke through to the other side during daylight hours and were spotted immediately by a passing patrol car. The 12 men were forced to quickly flee the scene, with all of them being quickly apprehended. Sutton was recaptured the same day by Philadelphia police officer Mark Kehoe. I wonder if this Mark Kehoe is related to Mike Kehoe, who's currently running for Missouri governor. Huh, interesting. Anyways, he was sentenced to life imprisonment as a fourth-time offender. Sutton was transferred to the Philadelphia County Prison in the Holmesburg section of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on February 10th, 1947. Sutton and other prisoners, dressed as prison guards, carried two ladders across the prison yard to the wall after dark. When the prison searchlights hit him, Sutton yelled, "It's all right," and no one stopped him. On March 20th, 1950, Sutton was the 11th listed of the FBI's FBI 10 Most Wanted Fugitives, created only a week later on March 14th at that time. During February of 1952, Sutton was captured yet again by police after having been recognized on a subway and followed by Arnold Schuster, a 24-year-old Brooklyn clothing salesman and amateur detective. Schuster later appeared on television and described how he had assisted in Sutton's apprehension. Albert Anastasia, hopefully I pronounced his name right, mafia boss of the Gambino crime family. Ooh. Disliked Schuster because he was a rat and a squealer, according to the mafia renegade and first major government informant, Joe Valachi. Oh, it's Anastasia. Anastia. Like the girl from Russia. Anastasia. Anastasia ordered the murder of Schuster, who was then shot dead outside his home on March 9th, 1952. Judge Peter T. Farrell presided over a 1952 trial in which Sutton was convicted of the 1950 robbery of $63,942, equal to $809,755 presently, from a bank of the Manufacturers Trust Company in Sunnyside, Queens. He received a sentence of 30 to 120 years in an Attica State Prison. While in prison, Sutton wrote his book, I, Willie Sutton, a book about his life and career, co-authored by Quentin Reynolds. The book was published in 1953. In December of 1969, Farrell ruled that Sutton's good behavior, along with his deteriorating health, justified commuting his sentence to time served. At the hearing, Sutton responded, "Thank you, Your Honor. God bless you," and wept as he was led out of the courtroom. In 1976, Sutton published his second book, Where the Money Was, co-authored with his journalist, Ed Lynn. After his release, Sutton delivered lectures on prison reform and consulted with banks on theft deterrent techniques. He made a television commercial for New Britain Bank and Trust Company in Connecticut for their credit card, with picture identification on it. His lines were as follows. They call it the face card. Now when I say I'm Willie Sutton, people believe me. Isn't that just nice? Sutton would later get married, later on in life, to Louise Lendeman in 1929, way back when. She divorced him while he was in jail. Their daughter, Jenny, was born the next year. His second wife, Olga Kowalska, whom he married in 1933, his longest period of legal employment lasted for 18 months. A series of decisions by the United States Supreme Court during the 1960s resulted in his release on Christmas Eve. In 1969, from Attica State Prison, he was in ill health at the time, suffering from emphysema and in need of an operation on the arteries of his legs. As usual, some don't live very long, given the fact this man was born in 1901. Sutton died in 1980 at the age of 79. Before this, he had spent his last years with his sister in Spring Hill, Florida. He frequented the Spring Hotel, where he kept himself. After Sutton's death, his family arranged a quiet burial in Brooklyn in the family plot. And then there was Sutton's Law. A famous apocryphal story is that Sutton, asked by reporter Mitch Onstad why he robbed banks. According to Onstad, he replied, because that's where the money is. The quote evolved into Sutton's Law, which is often invoked to medical students as a metaphor for emphasizing the most likely diagnosis rather than wasting time and money investigating every conceivable possibility. In his autobiography, Sutton denied originating the filthy rejoinder. The irony of using a bank robber's maxim as an instrument for teaching medicine is compounded. I will never confess by the fact that I never said it. The credit belongs to some enterprising reporter who apparently felt a need to fill out his copy. I can't even remember where I first read it. It just seemed to appear one day, and then it was everywhere. If anybody had asked me, I'd have probably said it. That's what almost anybody would say. I couldn't be more It couldn't be more obvious. However, he also said, why did I rob banks? Because I enjoyed it. I loved it. I was more alive when I was inside a bank robbing it than at any other time in my life. I enjoyed everything about it so much that 1 or 2 weeks later I'd be looking for the next job. But to me, the money was the chips. That's all. The Redlands Daily Fax published the earliest documented example of Sutton's Law on March 15th, 1952 in Redlands, California. A corollary, the Willie Sutton rule, used in management accounting, stipulates that activity based on costing, in which activities are prioritized by necessity and budgeted accordingly, should be applied where the greatest costs occur, because that is where the greatest savings can be found. Wow. Well, that'll be it for video number 1. If you liked it, feel free to like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the comments section down below. Or perhaps if you'd like to see whatever you'd like to see me talk about next, leave it in the comments section. I will write it down on a piece of paper and make a big list. And you just might hear me speaking about it next Monday. Then again, you never know. But anyways, that'll be it for video number 1. See you next not next Monday, but see you for the next video. Yes. Goodbye, my superstars. See you next for video number 2.